Kasheme, conscious listening.
Well, I would say my first musical memory is watching my father listen to his vinyl jazz records when I was probably like 4 or 5 years old. He would sit in the living room with his big headphones on and listen to what I didn't even know was a record. I didn't know what it was. It was just, something he would put this needle on and it would play and he would just like zone out. You know what I mean? And I could hear the music from the headphones. And then later on, when I got a little older, he would sit me down with him and put the headphones on my head and make me listen to this music. And at first I was like, what is this? Because it just, like bebop jazz at the time was like, and as a kid, you kind of like, you don't get it, you know what I mean? But as I got older, even more, I started to get it and I started to enjoy the music, So that was probably my first musical experience, is watching him listen to his favorite records as a child. My first musical love and influence was probably of my own. I would say specifically of my own is hip hop. Like before that, I listened to music that my father listened to. I listened to music that my brothers and sisters listened to. But hip hop was something I discovered on my own. You know what I mean? And I felt like that was mine because I instantly gravitated towards it because of just what they were talking about, because I was going through a lot of the things that people were talking about. I had a talk a few days ago in Germany, and I mentioned how the song The Message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five was very important to me, because when he's talking about like rats in the front room, roaches in the back, I mean, I literally was going through that as a kid, growing up in the projects, and I felt like somebody was finally speaking to me about my situation. So I instantly gravitated towards that. And as I got older and when people started sampling, I really started gravitating towards that because I heard my father's records, I heard my brothers and sisters' records being sampled, and it just set off a light bulb for me that I was like, yeah, this is me. This is hip hop. So hip hop will always have a special place in my heart because it's something that I actually found. The obsession with crate digging started just because, again, when hip hop started sampling and, they were using a lot of my siblings' records to sample, and my father's records, they wouldn't let me have their records. So the only way I could have those records myself, I had to go shop for those records. So then I started digging for records myself. A lot of my my friends, at the same age, 7, 8 years old or whatever, they would go spend money on ice cream and candy and stuff like that. And I would do that too, but I would spend money and go buy records. For me, running my own label and, being a DJ, curator, and all those other things, it is, there's no days off. It's like when you have your own business, there's not really a day you can take off, because the day you take off is the day that you're like, oh shit, like this didn't get done, that get done. Like you just got to think of everything, especially when you're the only person running everything. You can't afford to hire a staff. Or you don't believe if you did hire a staff, they could do just as good as a job as you. So these are the things, you got to learn how to delegate, and delegation is sometimes hard for people who are creatives themselves and they know how to do stuff. But my history in terms of music, I worked in the music industry for a long time. I was the VP of sales and distribution at Fat Beats Distribution for like 5 of the 8 years that I was there. And I ran Wax Poetics Records. I label managed the record label. So I have experience running other people's labels, but it's a quite different story when you have to run your own. When you're responsible for the budget, you're responsible for everything. You don't have to say, hey, can I, get such and such? You have to do everything yourself. So it is very, very hard to do this because you don't make a lot of money. You put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this without a lot of return sometimes. Like, I was telling Nick from Kasheme that, I haven't made a profit in the last 12 years that I've had my label. I'm thankful that I can still have a label and I can still put out records, but, I didn't get into this to be rich. I got into this because I love music. Being a curator is always something I love because I always love talking about music. I always love educating people about music because I like to be educated about music. And I like DJing because DJing for me is where I can have fun, especially in this crazy ass world right now. It's where you can, just let loose. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. So music is my drug for me. Music is my high, so it has its ups and downs, but I still do it because I still love it. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't be doing this. I have a friend from Boston who is a writer, and for the last year, I've been giving him a bunch of stories and different things from my beginning, like of my passion for music until I moved to Germany 6 years ago. So basically, I'm coming out with a book because if you get to know me, I have a lot of stories about a lot of different things, a lot of people, a lot of famous hip hop producers I've worked with, a lot of famous people I know. I've been blessed enough to be around in those circles. And so at the request of a lot of people, like, man, you should write a book, man, because these stories are crazy. Like, nobody knows these things. So that's coming out hopefully next year. I just got to wait for him to finish. Excuse me. And then I am actively trying to do a film documentary on Strata Records because the story of Strata Records is such an important, interesting, amazing story that every time I talk about it, that's the first thing people say is like, you need to do a film documentary. There's a photographer from Strata Records. Her name is Lenny Sinclair. She is originally from Germany. She grew up in what is now called Kaliningrad. It's old Prussia. It was Germany, but it wasn't connected to Germany. The Russians took over it, so it's now called Kronosberg. She escaped and she became, a photographer in Detroit. And she's a really famous photographer, and I'm trying to do a photo exhibition with her of all her Strata photos that nobody has really seen. So like those three things. And as I said to Nick from Kasheme, I'm trying to do another Strata Records reimagined record, but this time not with Jazzanova, with another group of musicians, whether it's French or English or whoever, I come up with. So those 4 projects, I really hope I can get off the ground or out next year in 2025. And other than that, my hope is that we get some damn peace in this world, man. It's really stressful to wake up every day, hearing all the nonsense that's going on. So that's why I try to just stay positive and creative so that I don't let this outside noise bother me, Last night when I spun, I felt really good. I felt free, I felt good. I mean, it's very rare that you get a chance to play some of the music that I get a chance to play. I mean, I played some music that I do play out, but then I also played a lot of music that I never really get a chance to play, except for myself in the house, you know what I mean? I think Kasheme lives up to everything that I've heard of it. So there we go. Introduce myself for those that just came in and didn't hear me earlier. My name is DJ Amir. I am from Brooklyn, New York. And it's good to be here in Zurich. I live in Berlin right now, so close. But I hope you enjoyed the music I was playing tonight. There's certain songs I'm playing, like this one right here, because I grew up on hip hop, and any hip hop heads in here would know this sample is from a De La Soul song. It's one of my favorite De La Soul songs. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's other songs I've been playing that were sampled that got me really into music. And so I wanted to kind of tell a story musically of my history and what I'm about. For those that don't know, I am a DJ, obviously, and I'm a music producer. I'm a record label owner. The last time I was here was 2 years ago with the group Jazzanova. Any Jazzanova fans in here? All right. I executive produced their last album, and when we had a show at Moods, I came here to DJ, so I'm here again. So again, unfortunately I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Paris to DJ. I would love to stay, but thank you very much for your love, your support, and just rocking out with me. Thank you, y'all.